Alright, so I promised you more. This is, I'm sure any housewife knows, a folding trivet. It is stainless steel in construction. It does not weigh all that much. Let's check total weight on the trivet and its feet. I bought this one specifically because it packs down more than any other one. And if you have to put any kind of utensils, you're going to get a little rattle while you're marching, but it packs down, hiking, whatever. It packs down and you're able to pack like little things in there, fuel tablets, maybe, a toothbrush, maybe, let's see, sponge with a little 3M pad, or at least cut a section of it. That way you can scrub your pots out. It weighs a total of 133 grams. Now, this is why I bought this. Remember the cheap Coleman stove? Cheap Coleman folding camp stove? 108 grams, right? This is all this thing does, is it folds out to basically be a stove. Can you get creative? You can burn your fuel tabs on it. Demonstrated that in the video. Turn it upside down, burn your fuel tabs on it like that. Put your smaller pot on it. You can burn wood underneath it. If you have to use your transient, it'll burn up through there. It'll also burn this way. So, by all accounts, somewhat of a versatile item. It has some space inside, so you can actually store things like your fuel tabs, just like I said you can do with this. But here's where this thing shines, okay? I didn't bring a pot down with me, but you can imagine there are some times where you want to save the water that you have, or a recipe calls for steaming as opposed to boiling. That right there, you can set down inside. Let's say you want to hard boil some eggs or something, some crow eggs you find in the wild or whatever. You can set that down in your pot, comes right out. This one fits perfectly inside of my 1600 milliliter pot. If you don't want it resting totally on the bottom, you can put these legs in. And voila. You now have some standoff if you wanted to, say, get real creative, like that bread recipe I made, and you want to set your other pot inside on here to create a little bit more standoff. Or if you wanted to cook, like steam some corn directly in here, you'd have to probably cut it in half. But what this also does is it creates a windscreen, right? Now you can set your pot right on there, and it's pretty stable, pretty secure. One of the things I'm going to try out here, I'm just going to put enough to get this burner a second burn in and slightly up the temperature. And now you have something that it can stand on without burning the surfaces of your dwelling. Again, I would still set it on the flattest river rock I could find. Hell, I might even set it inside of a pot. Yeah, a little food for thought. Whatever you can cobble together. And again, your fuel is more valuable for cooking than it is for keeping you hot or warming you up. That's what you use wood for. But I guess in the most dire of emergencies, you're not likely to have this piece of kit. But if you did, there's your little warmer. I'd use the residual heat coming off of whatever I cook. It's got a little bit different of a sound to it because of the way it's sitting, the way it's drawing the air in, and the distance now that it's burning. This second burn, I don't, even with the soot underneath, I don't see too many fumes coming off. Top is still well in excess of 430 degrees. The trivet itself, these legs have transitioned enough heat that they're cool to the touch. But the air temperature around them is about 90 degrees. At this standoff, I would say that you're getting a more efficient burn of your fuel air mix. I would not necessarily want to rest a heavy pot on top of this. Perhaps maybe a skillet or something as small as, say, your Bitty Big Q coffee cup. Get a little water, heat it up. That way you get your ambient temperature up and then you get your internal temperature up with the coffee. Yeah, something to think about. So, final verdict, where this weighs 133 grams and takes up hardly any space, and this weighs 317 grams and takes up a significantly larger amount of space. Ooh, you can see that heat-resistant paint coming off, by the way. Is this a viable item for camping if you're in such a dire situation that you require that much heat? I would say no, because again, the dimensions of it and the weight of it, you would not bring this into any situation where you would need it. It is just, it's overkill. It's something that, you know, honestly, you could improvise and adapt over. And like I said, considering how much, there's some napkins. Considering how much residue and how much toxic paint is coming off from the first burn, I wouldn't want to be around this in an enclosed space, relying on it as a survival item. It just doesn't rate that well in my book. Mileage varies though.